Told my husband I didn't trust his old friend from college. He rolled his eyes. So when he went to catch up with her at a bar, I followed. I walked in and saw them kissing. She turned, smirked, and said, "Oh, he didn't tell you?" I snapped a picture, sent it to his board of directors, and left before they could react. My husband, Mark, and I have been married for 10 years. We live in Chicago, and for the most part, our life together has been good. Mark has always been a social guy, with a wide circle of friends from different stages of his life. One friend, in particular, Laura, has always made me uneasy. Laura and Mark met in college. They've kept in touch over the years, and while I tried to be understanding, there were things that didn't sit right with me. They'd text late at night, share inside jokes I wasn't part of, and there was this lingering feeling that she saw Mark as more than just a friend. Whenever I brought up my concerns to Mark, he'd dismiss them, saying I was overreacting or being paranoid. Last Friday, Mark mentioned he was meeting Laura for drinks to catch up. Something in my gut told me this wasn't just a friendly meetup. I decided to follow him. I know it might sound extreme, but I needed to put my doubts to rest. I arrived at the bar and spotted them in a corner booth. They were close, laughing, and then I saw it. Laura leaned in and kissed Mark. My heart sank. I approached them, and before I could say anything, Laura looked at me with a smirk and said, "Oh, he didn't tell you?" I didn't cause a scene. Instead, I took out my phone, snapped a picture of them, and walked out. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness. Once I got home, I sent the picture to Mark's work email, which is monitored by his company's board of directors. I knew this would have professional repercussions for him, but at that moment, I felt he needed to face the consequences of his actions. Mark came home later that night, furious. He accused me of overstepping and potentially ruining his career. I reminded him that his actions led us here. It's been a few days since the incident. We've barely spoken. I'm torn between the love I have for him and the betrayal I feel. Trust has been shattered, and I'm unsure if it can be rebuilt. Has anyone else been in a similar situation? How did you cope? Any advice would be appreciated. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there in bed, staring at the ceiling while Mark slept on the couch downstairs. The silence in the house felt heavy. It was like the air had changed. I kept thinking about that moment in the bar, Laura's smug face, the way she looked at me like she had already won. And Mark just sat there. He didn't push her away. He didn't even look shocked. That's what hurt the most. The next morning, I checked my phone. Nothing from Mark. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and stared out the window like I was waiting for something to make this make sense. It didn't. Around noon, I finally got a text. But not from Mark. It was from his assistant, Jenna. "Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. The board is calling an emergency meeting Monday. Thought you should know." I felt sick. This wasn't just a picture anymore. It was real. I didn't know if I meant for it to go this far when I hit send, but now it had a life of its own. Mark finally came upstairs that afternoon. He looked tired, but not sorry. He stood there in the doorway, arms crossed. "You really went and did that?" he asked, like I'd smashed his car or burned his clothes. "You kissed her," I said. He didn't even try to deny it. He just shook his head and said, "It didn't mean anything. She kissed me. I didn't expect it. I didn't do anything back." I laughed. A dry, bitter laugh. "You didn't do anything? You sat there and let it happen." And then she looked at me like she knew something I didn't. "Why didn't you tell me, Mark?" He looked away. That silence again. That pause that told me he had something to hide. And then he finally said it. "We hooked up once. A long time ago. Before we were married." I stared at him. "So you lied when I asked you about her all these years?" "I didn't think it mattered. It was before you. We were drunk. It didn't mean anything." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 10 years of marriage, and this was the first time he admitted it. "She's not just a friend, Mark. She's the one that got away, and you know it." He didn't answer. He just stood there, looking like a scared little boy. That was my answer. 2 days passed. Mark went to work like nothing had happened, but I knew something was coming. I got another text from Jenna. "It's happening. They're grilling him. The board's not happy." Later that night, Mark came home pale. He didn't say anything, just dropped his keys on the table and sat down. "They're putting me on leave," he said. "Pending an internal review. They're taking it seriously." I nodded. "Good." Then he snapped. "You're ruining my life over one kiss." I stood up. "No, you ruined your life when you kept lying to me. When you made me feel like I was crazy for years. When you let that woman disrespect me to my face." We didn't speak for 2 more days. But the silence didn't last, because then Laura texted me. I didn't even know how she got my number. The message was short. "Thought you should know, he's not telling you everything." My hands were shaking. I replied, "What do you mean?" She replied instantly. We didn't just kiss. We've been seeing each other for months. That's when the room started to spin. Months. Not just one mistake. Not just a moment of weakness. This was a choice. A pattern. A full-blown affair. I didn't respond to her. I didn't even cry. I just sat there. Frozen. Everything in my body went cold. Mark came home late that night. I was waiting for him in the kitchen. I had his phone on the table. I'd looked through it. I'd seen the messages. The hidden conversations. The calendar entries. He used fake work meetings to see her. He had a whole second life right under my nose. I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. I just looked at him and said, "You lied to me. For months. You made me feel crazy. I asked you directly and you lied." He didn't try to deny it this time. "I didn't know how to stop," he said. "It was just easy with her. Familiar. She doesn't ask for much. She doesn't judge me." I stared at him. "She doesn't know you. She just gets the version of you that wants to escape. I've been here for 10 years. Through your layoff, your surgery, your depression. And you throw it all away for easy." He had nothing to say. I packed a bag that night. Not because I was leaving, but because I wanted him to. I handed it to him at the door. "Go stay with your easy. We're done for now." He stood there, stunned. Then finally said, "This isn't fair. We can fix this." I just shook my head. "No. You don't get to decide when we fix it. Not after what you did." He left. Now it's just me. Sitting in this house. Alone. Wondering how many parts of my life were built on lies. Wondering how many people knew. Wondering how I missed the signs. I haven't told my family yet. I haven't told my friends. I don't know what the next step is. All I know is that this version of my marriage is over. Whatever happens next, it won't look like what we had. I'm not ready to make a decision. Not yet. But I know one thing. I will never ignore my gut again. 3 days after he left, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I kept replaying everything. The texts. The kiss. The lies. My brain wouldn't shut up. I couldn't eat, barely slept, but I needed answers. Not from Mark this time. He'd proven I couldn't trust a word from his mouth. So I went digging. I started with our shared cloud account. Mark wasn't careful with his digital trail. I remembered he'd synced his old tablet to it and forgot to remove it. It was collecting everything: emails, messages, even some deleted stuff that somehow stuck around in drafts and old backups. That's when I found the real twist. Laura wasn't the only one. There was another woman. A younger one. Her name was Kylie. I clicked into the messages. She worked in the same building as him, in HR. I remembered him casually mentioning her a few times. "Just someone from work," he'd said. "She helps me with payroll issues." The messages were worse than what I'd seen before. Flirty. Personal. Then explicit. And dated, some from nearly a year ago. Before the stuff with Laura even started. Mark had been cheating with Kylie first, while still texting Laura. Then, somehow, Laura became the main one. And here I was, in the dark, being gaslit into thinking I was insecure. I took screenshots. I copied everything to a secure folder and emailed it to myself. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I messaged Kylie. I didn't go in angry. I wanted information. So I played it calm. "Hi Kylie. I'm Mark's wife. I found some messages. I'm not here to scream or blame. I just want to know the truth. Did you know he was married?" She didn't reply for hours. I assumed she'd block me. But around midnight I got a long message back. I had no idea. He told me he was separated. Said it was complicated and you were still in the house for financial reasons. I stopped seeing him when things started to feel off. "I'm really sorry. I didn't know." It hit me like a truck. He was telling her we were separated. Lying to everyone. I believed her. The tone of her messages, the way she responded, she sounded like someone who got played just like I did. But it didn't stop there. The next morning, I got another message. This time, from Laura. He called me crying. "He told me you were stalking him and threatening people. Just thought you should know what he's telling people." I laughed out loud in my kitchen. The same man who looked me in the face and said he wanted to fix things was now painting me as some unhinged stalker. And then it got worse. I got a call from a blocked number. I usually don't answer those, but I picked up. It was HR. From his company. They were following up on the incident. Apparently, Mark told them I'd harassed one of his coworkers. That I was using his work contacts to start drama. He was trying to turn the company against me. The same company I helped him clean up resumes for. The same board I emailed with photo proof. I explained everything. Calmly. Factually. I even offered to send more screenshots. The woman on the phone paused. She said, "You're not the first person to bring something like this up." Apparently, Kylie had also spoken to HR weeks ago. She had already filed a report. Mark was being investigated quietly for possible workplace misconduct. He wasn't just losing his job, he was on the verge of being blacklisted in his field. I sat with that for a while. It was like watching a building fall in slow motion. One lie after another collapsing under the weight of his ego. Then something happened I didn't expect. Laura came to my house. She knocked. I looked through the peephole and nearly didn't open it. But curiosity won. She looked different, tired, maybe even guilty. I just wanted to say sorry, she said. I didn't know about Kylie. I thought it was just me and him. I stared at her. That was the problem. You thought it was just you. You were okay being the other woman. She nodded slowly. I was. For a while. Until I realized he wasn't even honest with me. We talked for over an hour. Not as friends. Just two women comparing wounds. She told me how he played the victim. How he made her feel like I was cold, distant, and didn't support him. The same man who cried in my arms when he got laid off. The same man I helped rebuild from nothing. Laura left quietly. No drama. Just a strange, awkward peace. Later that night, Mark called. He didn't know I knew about Kylie. Or HR. Or the fact that Laura had come by. I've been thinking, he said. We should talk. I didn't answer right away. I just listened. I made mistakes, he continued. But I want to be better. I want to come home. I stayed silent. Then I asked, how many others were there, Mark? The line went quiet. Then he said, just those two. I knew he was still lying. Because I'd seen another name pop up in the backup logs. A coworker from 3 jobs ago. Flirty emails. A hotel booking during a conference. This story doesn't have an ending yet. I haven't made a final decision. Divorce papers are sitting on my desk and signed. My lawyer says I have a strong case for infidelity and emotional distress. But part of me is still trying to understand how I got here. How I spent 10 years with a man I didn't really know. And how I ignored the signs for so long. But one thing is for sure. This isn't just a story about cheating. It's a story about power. About manipulation. About how someone can slowly chip away at your sense of reality and make you question yourself. And how, sometimes, the only way out is to burn it all down and start again. It all came crashing down the night of the company dinner. I hadn't planned to go. I wasn't even invited. But Jenna, his assistant, the one who had been quietly feeding me information, slipped me the location and time. I don't know why I went. Maybe I wanted to see him lie to other people the way he lied to me. Maybe I just wanted one last look before I walked away for good. It was at a swanky downtown hotel ballroom. Lights dimmed, fancy name tags, cocktails flowing. I slipped in quietly, no one really noticed. I spotted Mark almost immediately. He was wearing that same navy suit I bought him for our anniversary. The irony made my stomach turn. He was laughing, surrounded by a small circle of coworkers and board members. And then, she walked in. Kylie. She didn't see me at first. She made her way toward the board members. Mark saw her and visibly tensed. His smile faltered. Then, just behind her, Laura appeared. She looked determined. Her heels clicking fast, shoulders squared. And then I saw Jenna, across the room, watching it unfold. Our eyes met for a second. She gave me a subtle nod, like she knew everything was about to go down. I don't know who said it first, maybe Laura, but suddenly all 3 women were within a few feet of each other. Mark froze. You could feel the tension shift the whole room. What the hell is she doing here? Laura asked, pointing at Kylie. You said it was just me, Kylie hissed. You said she was done. Mark tried to speak. Let's step outside, no, I said, stepping out from the crowd. My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough to make heads turn. Let's do this right here. His face went pale. This is the man you all respect? I said, voice shaking but loud now. The one up for a promotion? The one who's been cheating on his wife, sleeping with coworkers, lying to everyone around him. Gasps. Whispers. He turned to me, panic in his eyes. Don't do this. Don't? I snapped. You've been doing this for over a year. You lied to Laura. You lied to Kylie. You lied to me. And you lied to this entire room. Kylie stepped back. You said you were separated. Laura shook her head. He told me you were manipulative. He told me you were both crazy, I said flatly. And that's what he does. He tells each of us a different version of the story, and we all believed it because he's good at pretending. The room was silent now. Everyone was watching. Then someone from the board, a tall man in glasses, stepped forward. Mark, is any of this true? Mark looked around. His mouth opened. Closed. He couldn't speak. Laura looked disgusted. Kylie looked like she was about to cry. I walked up to him, close enough to whisper, but still loud enough for people nearby to hear. This is the part where you own up. Or you walk out of here a coward. He didn't say a word. So I did. I'll be filing for divorce. Tomorrow. You can keep the lies. I'm taking my dignity. I walked out. Kylie followed shortly after. Laura stayed behind, probably to give her own version of what happened. I didn't care anymore. The next day, I filed the papers. No delays. I sent screenshots to my lawyer. He said I'd have no trouble proving emotional abuse, adultery, and mental cruelty. Mark tried calling me. I blocked him. He emailed. I ignored it. He even showed up at the house once, but I had already changed the locks. 2 weeks later, I got a message from Jenna. He's been asked to resign. Quietly. He's leaving the company. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel victorious. I felt done. In the weeks that followed, people came out of the woodwork. An old friend from his previous job said she'd always suspected something. My sister cried when I finally told her. My mom said she never liked him but stayed silent because I seemed happy. I wasn't, though. Not really. I think part of me always knew. But I wanted the marriage to work so badly, I overlooked all the things that didn't feel right. I ignored the gut feelings, the late-night texts, the excuses. Now, I wake up alone, but not lonely. The quiet feels different. Peaceful. I started therapy. I see my friends more. I'm learning to trust myself again. The biggest betrayal wasn't the affair. It was how deeply he made me doubt myself. But I'm taking that power back. The ending. I divorced him. He lost his job. His reputation is stained. I rebuilt my life, slowly, painfully, but honestly. And for the first time in years, I feel free. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. If your gut tells you something is wrong, it probably is. Don't wait for proof. Don't wait for the kiss in the bar. Listen the first time.